We're really happy to be here. We're grateful to be sponsors of this very first NFT event in Sweden. We are Bankless Sweden. And today we are going to take you down the rabbit hole, just like Alice. And it's completely up to you what you want to do with the knowledge, and beware, the crypto rabbit hole only gets wider and deeper the further down you go. When you walk out that door, we want you to know three things. Crypto is more than just cryptocurrencies. NFTs are more than just JPEGs. And we are leading a revolution, and you are very welcome to join. Let's talk about the elephant in the room to start off. Some people, when they hear about cryptocurrencies, they think about an asset that rises several 100% one day, only to drop the very next. Sorry, this is PayPal though. You might think about people that get scammed. You think about Ponzi schemes. You think about people losing all of their NFTs. You might even think about people who forget their passwords and by doing so rob themselves of their financial freedom. All of this is absolutely true. It is the beauty and it's the ugly side of crypto. You are responsible for your own assets. You are responsible for your own research. Here in Sweden, we have quite a bit of faith in our government, in our banks. I'm only partially Swedish. I'm half English. I'm from the south. I'm brought up in the south of Spain. In the UK and in Spain, we don't have faith in our government. We do not have faith in our banks, and for very good reason. Now, the blockchain has provided us an opportunity to have faith in ourselves again, beyond just stuffing money under the mattress. We can take care of our own funds without being worried about anyone else. So just blockchain. What is a blockchain? It's a distributed, decentralized ledger, blah, blah, blah. You've all heard it a million times. Doesn't bloody matter. One thing matters. It's transparent information. That's all you need to know. It's transparent information that is spread out throughout the world. All you need. And now we will hear a bit about the internet.
Hello. Yeah, so to give you some perspective of where we're coming from, what we're coming from, and where we want to go with this amazing new technology, we're going to start off with the birth of the internet, Web 1. And initially, the internet was mostly, you could only go to places, you could read pages, was big companies and maybe some rich people that put up websites with very static websites. And in the end of Web 1, the search engines made their way onto the internet, and that really helped to navigate and to find what you were looking for. Then in the early 2000s, Web 2 arrived. And the definition of a Web 2 website is that the user should put a lot of content on the website. The users should be in control of their content, and the website should look rather fancy, basically. So since then, there has been a massive boom online. We're all living it right now. And one of the common denominators of all these websites that we see today, I mean, we talk about Facebook, we talk about Flickr, we talk about YouTube, we talk about applications like Instagram. The common denominator is that in all of these spaces, the people create heaps and heaps of content, they upload it there, and then the owners of the platform and the big companies, they rake home all the money. In some few cases, little bits and pieces of the revenue gets distributed back to the people actually doing the work. but not very much. And we're hoping that Web3 will help solve this situation. But before we go into Web3 deeper, we're going to talk about how we ended up here and what's the big problem. So there is this term, the original sin of the internet. And it's argued that the big thing that went wrong when they launched the internet is that it didn't contain a method of payment. And this might sound trivial, but this really shaped the whole landscape online. So what happened was that people that created content and wanted to make a living of that online, the only way for them to monetize their content was to put ads on their sites. And the way the ads works are, of course, the more viewer you have, the more clicks you get, and the more money you get. And the internet ad compared to the printed ad, for example, you get very, very little money per view if you compare it to an ad in a newspaper, for example. So this drives, I forgot this, no payment method, ads-based economy. So this is the attention economy, basically, that we're living right now. Everybody wants you to look at their content. And one of the problems with this is that it incentivizes people that create content to create content for the broad masses. So it's quite shallow content, and it's sometimes quite stupid content, whatever floats your boat. But I'm sure you've all been in this situation where you try to research something and you go to 10 different websites and they all say the same basic information because nobody goes deep, because there isn't an incentive to do it, because it's only maybe a small group of people that want that kind of information. There are a lot of downsides with this marketing model, but we're going to also talk about targeted ads. So in this economy, you have two ways of monetizing. Either you get more and more people to visit your website, or you can go to your investors and say, hey, I produce really smart ads. So this is when targeted ads became a thing. And at first they were quite, they looked at your search history maybe and which website you've been visiting. But to be able to make smarter and smarter targeted ads, they started collecting more and more data and build personas of everyone. And I mean, this is quite scary to me, and I think to a lot of people. Also, this system we have right now is very centralized. There are a few tech giants that own all the big sites and own all the content and all the data. So if you, for example, put your content on YouTube and then YouTube don't agree what you're saying with, or they think it's not appropriate, then they'll block you and they keep your content. So you lose everything that you created. So they own your content and they own the data and they sell it freely to the highest bidder so they can make better ads, basically. And what we see now, or what we're hoping to see, is when we build the ownership layer, this old system is called the information system and the network layer. And now we're building the ownership layer of top on that with the crypto technology. And we're hoping that that's going to solve a lot of these issues. Enter Web3.
Enter Web3. Hi, everyone. So this is what we're going to spend the rest of the day, or this talk, going into the different examples and how this system is envisioned to work in the future, basically. So we're coming back to the blockchain now, and the new internet revolution that we loosely call Web3. And right now, I would say that it's a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas and a lot of experimentation going on in different directions, just building, trying out what works and what doesn't, basically. And the general vision for all this is that we're building this decentralized internet where the users and the builders together will own the new networks. And like Henrik was saying, it is the ownership layer on top of the information layer that's going to enable all this. And I think maybe the easiest way to describe it is that before, people created content and the companies took the money. Now people create the content and people also get part of the money. That is like the overarching vision. And I think we're going to just jump into an example to illustrate what this might look like. So we have Instagram today that we all know and love and or hate. And what they do is provide a platform, right? It's a network of people, like we were saying before. People create the content. The network in and of itself has no value unless people are there creating and posting and sharing things with each other. Right now, this system takes 100% cut of all the money that this is generating. Nothing goes back to the user. They own your content, like Henrik said, and they own your user account. In this new system, when you create something, I think of it as like you're putting your data in your backpack. Like, this is my post, this is my tweet, this is the picture I created, this is the video. You put it in your backpack, and you come to Instagram and you say, hey, look in my backpack, this is what I've got. And they get to interact with your data. So the data is yours. And that kind of shifts the whole, I mean, the power structure is turned upside down if you do it like that. If Instagram don't play nicely, you just move, you take your backpack and you go over here and you interact with this service or website or application. That's the basic idea. And we have a friend that told us a story that just illustrates this perfectly, in my opinion, just a few days ago. He said that he came to Web3 again, like he's been into this before, but he came back this time because Instagram shut his account down. There was a hack or something happened. A few million people lost their Instagram accounts. I don't know if any of you heard about this, but it's not that long ago. And when he pushed them like, hey, you have to fix my account, right? I've spent God knows how many years working with this account, please give it back to me. Eventually, the reply he got was, if you don't stop pestering us, we will cancel your Facebook account. And you're like, what? So you have one player that have the two of the most massive platforms that we use right now. And when you complain, the response is to cancel you from the biggest network of them all. It just illustrates how wrong everything is, basically, in my opinion. And I can't really think of a better way of describing why we need another way of doing things, basically. So if we look at Winstagram then instead, Winstagram lives on chain instead of online. And it's a native DApp, which is the name for the decentralized apps that we're building in this new Web3 world. They do the same thing. They provide the network, but instead they take, say, a 20% fee. And 80% of the revenue goes back to the users that actually create the value on the network, instead of just like hoarding it all on your own to the side. And we all know how much money these companies are making. I mean, they're doing very little and earning a lot of dough. But there's another thing to this, and that's the open source part. Blockchains in and of themselves are open source, so you can always take what someone else has done and build on top of that. So they're like Legos. Either you just kind of copy the exact thing and you might tweak a few things, or you just take what they've done and build something on top of it. So people are building on top of what others have built. And this is something we've never really seen in the digital landscape before. And it's almost like a Darwinian process that's going on, that we're trying this out and the users like that, but someone just creates the same thing over here, but tweaks it a little bit. And if the users prefer that more, maybe they have a nicer website and they say in the Winstagram case, they lower the fee from 20% to 3%. So users get 95% of the take rate. Users will take their backpack and move over to this new other thing. So it's a really fast iterative process that's going on now. And this is what we're seeing in this space now, all this innovative stuff happening all over the place, basically. And I don't know if you've heard about Axie Infinity. It's the largest play-to-earn game. That is, I mean, the NFT technology is what's underpinning the whole thing. So you own your assets in game through the NFT technology instead of the normal case where you just play a game. You're used to kind of owning it, maybe renting it, and the game company can shut it down whenever they like to. In the real world, we don't often buy things knowing that someone can just take them away from us, or that we can't sell them when we feel like we're done with them. And this is what we're building now. And I think NFTs has done a lot to onboard people to crypto, or open up other like avenues to come to crypto, except the financial way. And I believe that the gaming revolution that's coming is going to be the next massive wave, and it's probably going to be quite a lot bigger than the NFT wave we've seen so far, even though they're going to coexist going forward. But Axie Infinity then is a game that right now I think they're like 1.2 billion in revenue so far. I'm not sure if that's not the most up to date, but that's the general ballpark. And they have, instead of 100% take rate, they have a 3% more of a tax on their user base. So 96.5% of those $1.2 billion have already gone back into the community. And what we're seeing in places like the Philippines, where this is massive, is that people, especially now during COVID, they were really hard hit with being a very tourist-heavy country. People have simply migrated, and they're working now on-chain in this game and earning upwards of maybe $800 a month or so if you're doing really well. And that's a lot more than many were doing working their previous normal jobs, maybe double, triple in some cases. So what the metaverse is still really hard to explain. And I think everyone has their own idea. But this is like, these things are going to be what ties into it, different pieces of the puzzle, creating a new way of doing things, where we kind of users co-own with the creator of the game in this case. And they also, like, you not only earn and own your assets in the game, you're also rewarded with tokens for the actual company itself, or the DAO, the Axie DAO. So you get influence and you partake in the success of the whole company as well. So it's like even a step further than just giving back for kind of using the platform. And it's all driven by NFTs, and that's where we're going next to deep dive that. Yeah.
Despite the ideological great upsides of Axie Infinity, play to earn, and the current state of it, what do you think about the fact that Axie Infinity and most play to earn structures, although ideologically and blockchain is extremely exciting, although that its economy is essentially dying, that the fact that the wealth is being amassed among 1% players who have amassed a lot of these NFTs and then are then renting those out to new players, essentially creating a where the new players have to pay existing players to play. Personally, I really like the ideology on the attempt at it. Do you think that this model is sustainable for the player system of this supposed metaverse, or will it take hold of something else?
Is the housing market sustainable?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're describing, isn't it, really? It's not sustainable. That's not going to work either.
But I would just say that this is, I mean, it's going to be an evolution as well. Like, this is the first game to do this. And there's so much thought going into how to, because now all of a sudden you need economists when you design a game, which is not normally what we've had before when we've, like, as the main thing when you're designing the game. Because like you described, we don't want the game mechanic to break down. And this ties into like gaming still needing to be fun as well. And that is a massive topic and a lecture for another day, I think, to be honest. Like, it's super interesting, really good question as well.
Nice question though. I do like it. NFTs, the reason we're here. Before we talk about NFTs, I do want to look at the blockchain yet again. What do we say it was? Transparent information. It's a transparent ledger. It keeps track of who sends and who receives. Bob has a Bitcoin, Alice has a Bitcoin, Bob sends Alice a Bitcoin, Alice has 2, Bob has 0. We have the ownership property. We know who owns how many units. If you put your hand in your pocket, you pull up 5 1-crown coins, you can't distinguish between them. They are interchangeable. They are fungible. Now imagine you're in Paris, you're at the museum, you look up, you're looking up at the Mona Lisa. She's unique, she's non-fungible. We have brought this property of uniqueness to the blockchain with NFTs. That's all it is. We're just saying that this transaction can be with a unique asset as opposed to just a unit. Now we have the building block for creator economy. So we have the means and we have the platform to bring creations onto the blockchain. That means that we can cut out the middleman. We can give back independence to creators, and we can stop forcing them and forcing them into affiliating themselves with, I don't know, Joe Rogan, or ads that they have no control over. Steve Aoki joked recently in an interview that if he hadn't been DJing, he would have to get a job. Steve Aoki has tracks on Spotify that have been played 500 million times. But last year, when he dropped his NFT, he earned more on that NFT drop than he's done the past decade in traditional music. There's something not right there. That's what we can rectify with the creator economy. But let's forget about ownership for just a brief moment, because I wanted you to know as well that NFTs are not just JPEGs. NFTs, at their essence, are a smart contract. We don't need to know that much about it. It's transparent information again, but it's a piece of code that acts in a very predictable way. So this smart contract can give the NFT a lot of inherent value besides what you see on the surface. For example, you can have royalties built into the NFT. Each time the NFT is sold, the creator gets a bit of royalties. You can have the NFT as a membership card into like a social club. We see this all the time in the space at the moment. You can use the NFT as a voting right. We also see this because it's just a unique identifier. It's just an abstraction. Back to the blockchain. It's transparent. What I like about the creator economy, and what I like in it too, is this very like core value we have in Sweden. Allemansrätten. You are free to roam, regardless. If you own a piece of land, you're allowed to be on that land, you're allowed to enjoy that land. Same with NFTs. Universal consumption, limited ownership. You can be on a piece of land, you can eat a few berries, you can right-click, save an NFT, but just because you're on that land doesn't mean that you have the same rights as the owner. You can't chop down a tree, you can't build a cottage like the owner can. You can't right-click, save a community. Over to community.
Over to community. And before we move into the community economy. We actually brought a gift for all of you today. How many of you own an NFT today? Show of hands. Nice, quite a few. So you who raised your hands, you will probably be quite comfortable in receiving the NFT we're going to give to you. And for the rest of you, it's going to be a very interesting challenge because you need to do a few steps to get it. But at the end of the talk, we're going to tell you how to do that. So hopefully by tomorrow, all of you are owning one NFT at least. All right, so the community economy. This is a really fascinating phenomenon going on right now. And this is like the bleeding edge of crypto community happening. So if we back up again, before in the start of the internet, you could make money by your fans, from your fans, because they visited your website. In the last couple of years, services like Patronage Plus arrived, where you could actually donate money every month or set up a subscription to kind of contribute to your favorite artists online so they could keep on doing their work. And that's pretty cool in itself. But what's happening now is that the artists can sell their artwork to their fans in the form of an NFT. And the really cool thing about that is that the fan that actually bought the thing is owning it now. And that incentivizes that owner to help the creator. Because in a couple of years, if that NFT has gone up in price, if the fan base have grown, this NFT will be worth more. So that incentivizes the owner of the NFT to help the fan or to help the creator, maybe to share their Twitters, their tweets, or you know, help the market, help them get better reach. And the community economy is the next step of this thought. So a few of these creators that started selling NFTs, they made a bunch of money, and they noticed that, of course, their fan base is also helping them. So they took the active step to invite their fan base and say, hey guys, do you want to come co-create with me? Should we do this thing together? So they invite their fan base into a community, and then they start collaborating. And maybe at first it was more in the form of marketing, like we set up a marketing campaign, and on this day, all of us are going to tweet this, and then we get better traction. But the next step was that maybe they started using the original content and started building new things with it. And after that, this thing kind of grew, and instead of just working around maybe NFTs, people started gathering around IDs. And someone got a great idea and they started talking about it. And then when they noticed that, oh, there are more people thinking about this thing as well, let's get together, let's start working on this together and pool our energy and move this thing forward. And this sort of collaboration typically happens in a DAO. So that's why we're here, because we're working in a DAO. I forget this all the time. Did such a good preparation. Here we are, the DAO. So the DAO basically is people online working together with a shared bank account. And that bank account is on a blockchain. So what is a DAO? As I said, it's an internet native business. They're working together for a common goal. They have their funds on a blockchain. And this is important because on the blockchain, all the transactions being made are visible for everyone. So you can see how much funds do we have, who are we paying, who are we receiving funds from, and everyone within the DAO can see it, but also everyone outside of the DAO. And they are democratized. So both in the way that to be able to make payments, for example, from the DAO treasury, you need to have the consent of the members, and there's a voting process to do this. And the same goes for making decisions. There are different levels of voting mechanisms within the DAOs. But basically, if you want to decide we're going to do this project or that project, you go through this process all the time. And that's really, maybe the project or the idea starts off somewhere, and then there's a small group and they collectively decide this is what we want to do, and then it moves up a tier and then moves up a tier. So by the time it's time for the whole DAO to vote on this project, it's been going through like 5 different loops. So the ideas are really, usually they're shaped and quite strong when they reach this final level of decision making. So who can join a DAO? And right now, well, the simple question is everyone can join a DAO. Everyone is welcome in most DAOs. And in DAOs, you don't talk about members, you talk about contributors, because you want to gather people that actually do something. So the more contributors you have, the more value you will create. So most DAOs are actively working on onboarding and how to welcome new people and how to let them in and how to get them, give them some tasks to do, just to get them started off. And then you or me, when you first join, you have a big responsibility to get into it. No one is gonna like pull you along all the way over a year's time. You're gonna get some help in the beginning, but then it's up to you to take initiative and participate. And right now, this is what we're talking about. You might be asking, who can join a DAO? Can I join a DAO? Surely I can't, because I don't know anything about Web3 or Bitcoin or the blockchain, or I don't know how to program. But the thing is that this is really, really big multinational companies, and they are screaming for people like you, economists. They're screaming for marketing people, for project managers, for content managers, for psychologists, for, I mean, in every field, you could definitely get work in a DAO. So if you're curious, which I hope you are by now, you should really check it out. And you're more than welcome to jump in and say hi to us, or just find it DAO online. Most of them will really, really welcome you with open arms and try to get you included as soon as possible. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the Bankless DAO, which we are a part of.
And quickly. Yeah, so Bankless DAO. Every story has a beginning, right? Ours started with these 2 guys that you might have seen before, Brian Sean Adams and David Hoffman. In 2000, they started a podcast and a newsletter with a mission to onboard 1 billion people to crypto. And since then, they have morphed that into probably one of the most well-renowned crypto newsletters that there are. And there are fearless and always ultra bullish crypto native forefathers, and they started the Bankless movement. And this is what I realized one day, and it's from the launch, that the Bankless movement, I'm going to give you the short. The Bankless movement is now too large to contain. So to spread this message, we need to get people on board. Like, more people can spread this message better than one person. So they decided to create Bankless DAO. And it's for the scalability of the Bankless movement, and we're the world's first media and culture DAO for crypto. And that launched back in May 2001, so less than 1 year ago. And that kind of shows the power behind this. Like, it's been less than a year. These 2 guys started this, merging the creators, the 2 of them, with the community. And now we're here talking to you 9 months later. I think that's pretty cool. They dropped the bank token. That's how that was launched. to their existing community members of around 1,500 people, giving those people instant ownership and skin in the game in this new organization that they found. And the first proposal they gave to that organization was how to distribute funds to them as a company as well, like the structure between the DAO and the company. And so even that was voted by Bankless DAO to beginning. We like this started on a on a square playing field. This is the force. This is us. We are like, I would say now 500 to 1,000 contributors that work on this every month. And maybe if we go to the low number 500, people spend at least 10 hours per week on this project. And many people have actually transitioned from quit their job, working full-time for Bankless DAO, or maybe they're working full-time, like half-time Bankless DAO, and then in another DAO. Basically, if you look at that, that equates to us outputting one person's work for 2.5 years every single week. We get a lot of stuff done with that time. Like we don't have time the time to go into all of it. So you're really happy to like talk to us afterwards, or join our Discord. That's the new social forum for Web3 workers and Web3 projects. But the market values us just like we don't have a protocol in the as a base layer, but we're just people doing stuff, and we're going up and down in market value and ranging between maybe $15 and $30 million. Yeah. Okay, so the question is if we're getting paid or if we're just doing this for fun. And that's the other part of working in a DAO. Like we get paid in the native token, and the native token gives us both power within the organization, i.e. voting rights. So we have these layers of consensus, and in the final layer, we vote token-based, like as a stock. It's the easiest way to think of it, that we get paid in stock every month. And you get paid according to the value that you have created for the DAO the past month, basically. And that's also something we can talk about later. Exactly, if you want to know how those structures work, I don't think we have time to go into. Yeah, and exactly, that's the 15 to 13 million in market cap. Like I can sell my stock anytime I want to, thereby getting paid every month, which is what people do that work full time. Obviously, like they can't just.
Right. Yeah, so you have it.
Vi kör 10 minuter.
Ja.
Eller har vi
So guys, I guess we have a lot of questions here in the room. So either you finish your PowerPoint, and then we should have a Q&A. People can leave when they want to.
All right, so
Is that a better wrap up?
okay, yeah, let's do that.
There are a lot of other DAOs doing other cool stuff that you can check out. These are some of them. So Bankless DAO, Sweden, the Swedish part. We're just the Swedish node in this, spreading the Bankless message. You find us on bankless.se and join our Discord if you want to come talk to us. We want to spread knowledge about this space. That's what we do externally, and internally we have a community for people building in this space already in Sweden. So we want to wrap up with this mental picture, like zooming all the way out beyond technology and out to the societal level. And this is thoughts that Josh Rosenthal, former historian, has shared with us through the Bankless podcast. And if there's one I want you to go listen to, would like you to, it's the episode 63, where he goes through this in depth. But the short story is that pre-Renaissance, the nobility and the church had control of everything, basically. They had all the information, the books, the scrolls, and they had all the money. The rest of everyone were peasants, basically. we invented the printing press and a new ledger technology that was the double entry bookkeeping. And the printing press gave us free information, set information free, and moved us from a decentralized information space to or moved us from a centralized to a decentralized. And the ledger technology basically spawned a whole new class of bankers. And what they did was to make lending and borrowing a lot easier so that people could get a hold of capital. And that spawned entrepreneurs, and people started doing things. And as this wealth distribution that went along with that happened, people started expressing themselves and started creating art in a new way. And this piece that you can see a bit in the screen is a representation that you had like 2D art back in the day. And then this new piece, like more 3D art thing happened, and over the course of 200 years, basically. But all that was spawned with one idea, which was double entry bookkeeping, basically. And that's how powerful ideas are in our societies. We just need 1 or 2 big changes to change everything. And so just to recap really quick, like we have ownership of information that has gone from a few to many. And we have borrowing and lending that's now available to a lot more people in the world. And we have a new form of art expression in NFTs. You can like it or not like it, but it's there and people are definitely appreciating it. And the analogies from what happened back in the Renaissance in like the 15th and the 16th century, they're obvious in my mind. We have the blockchain and the new ledger system that lets you put your information in your backpack. And we have the DeFi system that's opening up money and lending to everyone in the world with a smartphone, basically, on level playing field. No longer do people in the sense, like the elite have a head start on everyone. Everyone is on the same playing field in DeFi. And we have NFTs as the new art form. And this is what we see when we think about blockchains. We see not number go up or a get rich quick scheme, but we see these next generation networks that if we build them right, will usher in a new 21st century renaissance, basically.
Yeah.